What's going on, my Jets family? Want to thank you guys for tuning in, like always, to the Take Flight Spit and Fire podcast. As you notice, it's not just me. I'm joined by two really awesome guests. So excited they're here. If you haven't seen, I was on their show just about like a few weeks ago or so. Awesome show they put together. Awesome content they have on YouTube. We got Mr. Jeremy Cravat from JetsChaos and Mr. Adam, Mr. Y2K99, Mr. New York Sports Wicker Media himself. I want to thank you, gentlemen, for tuning in and being here.
Hey, it's our pleasure to be here. Thank you for having us on.
Yeah, man. You know, I've been watching your channel for a long time, Harrison, so it's cool to be on it.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you. And yeah, I try to, bring on guests when I can. It's fun, on the live show to, chat it up with people. And just like with you guys, out there, I would say, bring your comments, questions, anything you want. Like, we got topics we're going to talk about. Obviously, there's news going on. Obviously, we know what we're going to be talking about for the most part. But, bring your comments, bring your questions, anything you want to, talk about, let us know. So obviously, we're going to dive into the Mekhi Becton story, the first thing we talk about. But before we do, if you guys haven't heard, there's a little bit of breaking news. The Jets have just signed somebody. The Jets have just signed a lineman. Not the offensive lineman that we thought they were going to be signing immediately. I mean, that's still possibly in the works, and that's hopefully going to happen, and we'll talk about that. But the Jets are, according to Tom Pelissero on Twitter, they're signing Caleb Benenach. And we're gonna circle back to him because he's an interesting one to talk about with his lack of experience, what he's done so far in the league. But it comes down to why are they bringing him in? Why are they bringing in possibly Dwayne Brown? Well, Dwayne Brown was in the works for a little while, as we know. They were talking about it over the weekend. He was meeting with the Jets. But the biggest thing, as we know, is Mekhi Becton. Got hurt today in practice. That was absolutely huge. We all heard it. I was hearing, people at the actual camp, because there was an open practice today, people saying that it just fell silent. Like people were just watching him limping around and struggling, and that he threw the pads off, and that would kind of, scared me at first, because the frustration, especially with it being the knee and him getting as angry, and being as upset. But from what we hear, according to afterward from Salah, the reports seem to be that it's not that serious. They used words saying that it's stable. They're going to get an MRI done, but it's a scary situation. See, I'd love to hear what you guys, weigh in on the situation, because it was really rough. I'd love to hear what you guys think. And Adam, if you want to start that with you, my man.
You know what? So I was at work today. It was a pretty busy day, so I didn't have a chance to look at my phone for about 20 minutes or so. And when I got about 9 Twitter alerts, plus an alert from Jets X Factor. When Jets X Factor is breaking news, you get a notification from Jets X Factor. You know something serious is going on. And as soon as I saw the words "breaking Mekhi Becton," I'm like, oh no, right there. I had that immediate sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach. And looking into it, it was like, okay, same knee. It wasn't even a different knee. It was the same surgically repaired knee, which is very, very scary. And then seeing the video that was taken of it when he just went down like he'd been shot. Now, we never got to see Carl Lawson when he went down, when he tore his Achilles in Green Bay. But like you said, everybody went silent. And it sounds like it's the exact same thing that happened. So at least he wasn't carted off. That's encouraging. I'm trying to be somewhat optimistic here, but you're not going to see him during the preseason, and that's probably being kind. I think that is the absolute. I think best case scenario, he's playing week 1, but you know what? I'm really worried about it, about where he is. How is he adjusting really to right tackle? How many times have we seen tweets? If you're getting reports from the beat writers during practice, every time there's a sack, so many times you see 3 common words: came around Becton. I've been seeing it too much, and I got to admit, I'm getting a little bit worried about him as a pass blocker. I know he can run block, but knees are hard to come back from, and the fact that this is starting to become a habit, it is absolutely worrying me.
No, I couldn't agree more, man. Jeremy, if you want to weigh in on the unfortunate situation that we have unfolding.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's not serious, it doesn't matter. It's still concerning, because it's like we thought he was healthy, and we thought, he had all this time. It was originally supposed to be this 4 to 6 week injury. And then he loses the whole season. They started talking about if he's ready for camp. He comes in, and, I love the guy. Don't get me wrong. I mean, this is the reason I think we care so much, is because he's such an important piece to the team and a big cog in the future. And to me, it's like, even if they say he's okay, it's like, yeah, but it's like a clicking clock. Like when he comes back, you're just like waiting for it to happen again now, because what's going to stop him from just as soon as he's in the game 1, game 2, game 3, he's going to end up laying there holding his knee, punching the ground again. So that's what's scary to me. And it definitely brings the urgency of, signing the swing tackle. We need a lot more depth at tackle because this could screw up the whole offense. It could. I mean, everything is built around the trenches, and we have to have a guy that's reliable to be there, that's going to be able to play. So I'm looking for them to sign someone. I know we're going to talk about the guy they signed later, but I really want Dwayne Brown on this team.
And, we could bring in all these great playmakers, and we absolutely have. We talk about how deep we are at running back, how great these receivers are 1 through 4, the deepest tight end unit maybe in the history of the franchise. Well, if the offensive line can't keep Zach Wilson upright, if they can't give him at least 3 seconds to throw the football, it's not going to matter. So it all comes back to the offensive line. And, McDermott's hurt for another week or 2. And even when he's healthy, that's a pretty terrifying proposition. I think we're pretty much in agreement on that. Max Mitchell is.
Well, maybe if he's going out for a pass, maybe that could be a little exciting.
That's true. I said if he's like our 5th tight end, but Lawrence Cager and Kenny Yeboah will take care of that. But then and then you have whatever I was saying. But you don't have the depth at tackle. Oh yeah, because then you had Mitchell, who's incredibly raw. I mentioned McDermott, and now Becton. I mean, our only healthy offensive lineman at tackle right now is Udoka. I know we signed this guy. We signed our pal Caleb. But, my God, I'm ready to bring Brandon Shell back. I'm almost ready to go to Brandon Shell, even if he is a shell of his former self. I don't know.
Yeah, and as you bring that up, you're right, man. Like I thought about it right when we started talking with Dwayne Brown, and there were conversations of him coming in. And you look at it, which we're going to talk about it in a little bit. You look at the Jets' first unofficial depth chart that was released, and you look at all the guys listed in the 2nd string offensive line, the 3rd string offensive line, and you mentioned, I was one of the people. I was crazy excited about the starting offensive line we have. Like kept saying, if they can stay healthy, right? If they can stay healthy. If they can stay on the field together, it could be one of the best lines in football. Right? We're talking about when Becton was healthy, Fant was healthy, great tackle duo, Lakin and AVT, one of the best guard duos. But you look at those backups and you're like, yeah, if anything happens to anybody, it's a major drop-off, like a huge drop-off, like drop off a cliff. Like out of all those guys, like we just brought in Beninoch, we can kind of pivot to that. We can, pivot to that guy. You look at that, it sounds exciting when you first, say, oh yeah, we signed an offensive lineman. But if you look at the facts of him, he's played 36 career games since 2016. That's it. He's only played in 2 games the past 3 years. And if you look at every grade he's ever had, it's like 47 or 50 or 51. It's not good. He's not Dwayne Brown. So, he's definitely, I look at what he's done. I don't even know if, even though they brought him in right now, how great, his potential to make the 53 man, even because he has, such little experience. He's got 1 full season as a starter. And even that full season as a starter, he graded as one of the lower, worst guards in the league, honestly, that year, unfortunately. So it's interesting. And I'd love to hear what you guys think, but it's not really much of a signing, honestly.
Yeah, he's an emergency guy. He's not. I don't know if he's that much of an upgrade from Udoka, or McDermott. I think he's more of a replacement because McDermott got hurt, if anything. So no, that's not the answer. That's not the guy we want in there. That's just can we upgrade the 2nd or 3rd string and just have somebody a little better if we go that deep down. That's certainly not the answer for the situation we're in right now with Becton having such a question mark on his back.
Yeah, but what's funny is he's predominantly been an interior offensive lineman. Obviously, we know Dan Feeney's not the answer either. Clearly, he's not. But if you are to compare just Dan Feeney to just Caleb Beninoch, Dan Feeney's actually the better player. So, that's what I'm saying. I don't, they got Pierre Batcher locked in at center. I don't even know if he makes the roster, even bringing him on. It comes down to, pivoting kind of like what you were saying, Jeremy. Dwayne Brown's the answer. This is a guy we got to bring in. It's crazy. You look at, he's like, it feels like he's 100. I mean, I think he's like 37 or something like that. But what's crazy is he's like 37, I think turning 38. And I'm like, guys, like Becton right now, he hasn't missed a game in 2 years. And like every single year, he grades out as like either a good offensive lineman or like one of the best offensive linemen in the league. Like it's never anything less. It's like either good or like awesome, like every single year for like 16 years straight. So like, I still can't believe he reminds me of like, I'm blanking on Whitworth, like, you know, someone that just like can play for like absolutely ever at a high level. But that's a guy you got to bring in. Like you look at just his ability, like he's a starter. And obviously with what's going on right now, that's a guy you got to bring in.
So for me, with Dwayne Brown, as I understand, hasn't he played exclusively in left tackle during his career?
He has, so that is true.
Who are you moving to right tackle? It's him or Fant. It's got to be somebody. And both of these guys are better suited at left tackle. No doubt about it. Is Dwayne Brown willing to come in and play right tackle for us? I mean, from what I hear, he wants $7 million, which is a decent amount of money. It may be our Morgan Moses signing, but it may be something that you have to do because we cannot have the season ruined because of Mekhi Becton's knee. If we were to lose games because maybe a pass was slightly offline or we didn't wrap up a tackle perfectly, you know, that type of stuff can be taught. I can live with that. But not being prepared to keep Zach as upright and protected as possible because we focus on the interior offensive line, really. That is something that's going to be very hard for me to accept. I'll just put it this way. Two interesting things about our pal Caleb. He was born in Nigeria, migrated to Katy, Texas when he was 9 years old. He started playing football by accident because his mom saw there were football tryouts and she thought they meant soccer. Okay. So it's almost an accident that he's a football player to begin with. That's number one. So I'm just going to quickly recap. I'll keep it very fast where he has played in the NFL. Tampa Bay from 2016 to 2019. Very good. New England in 19, Carolina in 19, Dallas in 19. He played Detroit in 19. He played for 5 different teams in one season alone, or he was on 5 different rosters.
And he was only in one game that year.
One game, yeah. Patriots in 2020. Oh, he stayed there the whole year. Bills in 2021, practice squad only, and the Saints in 2021. This guy gets passed around like, oh my God, like pot on Hayden Ashbury in San Francisco. He's going all over the place. How long is he going to be with us? 5 minutes? He's going to be. Who's the guy that we brought in, like the cornerback special teams guy from Philly? Caleb, whatever his name was, Greg Smith or something like that. We thought he was going to challenge Justin Hardy's roster spot. See that you're proving my point exactly.
Exactly. We're proving your point because we're like, who the hell are you talking about?
This is exactly what's going to happen here.
No, like
that's going to be gone in a week.
No, dude, you're 100% right. And that's exactly what I thought. Well, like, I remember about this guy, and I don't think he's played at all. And I looked it up, and I'm like, okay. Like,
that
I mean,
guy,
like, right? I don't even see, like I was saying, I don't even see him potentially even making the 53-man, even though they signed him at this point. Like, it's crazy. But shout out to, all you guys in the chat. Appreciate, you guys bring comments, questions. Shout out to MY Jets Fan 4 says we're 100% taking a tackle in the next draft. And I think that's an interesting pivot that we could pivot on, because I was saying this actually on Twitter earlier today. As you guys know, I'm a huge Mekhi Becton fan. I'm a big fan of the guy. I wanted him in 2020. That being said, I acknowledge at this point that if he doesn't play a full season this year, I think that's it, right? Like, I mean, I hate to say it, but he had a great rookie year. He didn't play really at all last year. And again, he's not injury prone. At least that's what we believe, because he's a big guy. It takes him longer to heal. It was different injuries. The knee's better. But now this, how long? Like you said, maybe he's ready week 1. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but I feel that if he doesn't show Jet fans like that he can play a full season, which is kind of, the whole point of getting in shape and showing durability going into year 3, I could see, like what MY Jets Fan 4 is 100% saying, that they realize this isn't the answer, and they go high with a tackle next draft, and either that's it for Mekhi Becton, or they keep him on for the 4th year without the intention of renewing him for his 5th, unless he has a magical 4th year. Like, I think this is really a prove it year for him.
Quick response to Jets mess, saying Becton was banged up all of season 1. Becton played 14 games his rookie season, so that's just not factual. Sorry.
Well,
I think we can be concerned about.
Some people are complaining that he didn't finish all those games, that he started a lot of them, but he wasn't finishing them. It definitely wasn't his issue in college. What is Jeremy spinning for?
Iowa Jet, dude. He's just
Iowan being Iowan.
Bring it. Whatever jokes you got, bring it, guys. We love it. That's so funny, man.
At least it makes it. Yeah, you know, I'll give him.
And it works together.
Creative.
I was gonna say that's beautiful. You just put that together. That's poetry right there.
But
and as you guys know, if you guys haven't heard, Iowa Jet fans still trying to get to that Jets game. So,
he's going.
No, he's going. He's
going.
He's
He's going. It's 100% now.
Awesome. We did it. We got him there. We got him there.
Oh,
yeah, we've alerted security that he is coming, so they are aware, but he is coming.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm so glad it worked out for you, man. I'm really, really glad that it was able to get done.
Yeah, I would say the big thing about Becton is it is really hard to deal with somebody who, and it's not his fault. I mean, I'm not blaming him as a person. Like, it's just unfortunate because, like, what are we supposed to do if he can't show he can be healthy and his knee is giving him problems on and off all year this year? I mean, luckily we got him locked in next year anyway, so there's another year to look at him. But I don't think we could guarantee a 5th year. I don't think we could do any of that. I think we just have to let him play out his contract and see maybe year 4 he's healthy all year, and if he's not, I don't know, man. It's just too hard to have to deal with this. It's like we always have to have a starting caliber swing tackle, which is really hard to find because if you find someone that's good and reliable, they don't want to be a swing tackle. They want to be a starter.
Well,
no, you're right, man. You're right.
But don't we have to guarantee that 5th-year option after this season? Isn't it after year 3?
We have to decide. Yeah,
I believe it's like toward the end, right? Like right toward the end of
it's in the offseason.
That's when they do it.
But we have to make the decision. Yeah, we have to make the decision now. I mean, we pretty much knew we're going to bring Quinnen back. Even though he may not have lived up to what we wanted him to be up to this point, we knew we weren't going to just let him go. Becton at this point, he has to prove something because if he misses another season, you just can't take that risk. You can't guarantee that money.
And I think it's you look at the story. He was, according to the coaching staff, right? He was ready to go toward the end of last season. It was precautionary they were keeping him back. So he had the entire offseason to get ready, to get in shape. So it was like a long time coming. Like, Jet fans have been saying, it's been, a long time coming for him to, for him to be at this point, to be ready to go. So the fact that he's not, if, the knee is bothering him, if he can't stay durable, I could be wrong, but I feel like this definitely feels like because of all that. Because of, again, like I was just saying, he had, all that time. He's been working. He's been getting in shape. I feel like he's got to show that he can be that guy, that he can not just play at a quality level, which we all know he can. Like, and that's kind of like the point, like you said, Jets mess. Shout out to you, my man, point out banged up all season 1. I actually did a whole thing on that. That was actually because it's Adam Gase's fault. Adam Gase kept throwing him back out there to the Wolves with that shoulder injury. I actually wrote a whole article on it. I talked to a couple of doctors. They literally told me, based on that injury, the kind of position he plays, there's no way he can make contact without it getting worse. It's just not possible. He kept aggravating it. He'd feel better. He'd be like, can we let him back out there? They'd throw him back out. So he just kept re-aggravating that injury. I don't think, that would have healed if he had the time. Then the knee took a while to heal, but man, I mean, he's got to show it. He's got to show that he can be the guy.
Yeah, most definitely. Let's see. Let's go. I'm going to go back to a comment here. Joe Musa. They went from Dwayne Brown to Caleb Benenoch. What are they doing? Well, first of all, I think Caleb Benenoch probably costs about 10% of what Dwayne Brown would. He's getting. It's probably not even a guaranteed contract. They may have signed him, but I guarantee you, there's no guaranteed money on that. So I'm not too worried about this. I'm actually I didn't think I would ever go here with this thought in my mind, but at this point, I'm actually thinking about it. Tell me what you think. If this becomes a concern, is our best offensive line as it is right now to move AVT to right tackle and put, say, Nate Herbig at right guard? Are we getting to that point? Because I'm starting to wonder about it.
Wow.
That's interesting. I mean, that's an interesting one. I mean, maybe Nate Herbig could be the possibility. I mean, most likely if they're going to do something like that, it would probably be Feeney. I mean, it probably won't be the one the fans want. It's probably not the fans. It's probably not the one the fans want to see. but it would probably be him. I mean, and I kind of wanted to pivot to that too, which is kind of perfect. I'm looking at all these backup linemen, and as I mentioned before, you look at the second stringers, you look at the third stringers, and you're like, man, anybody gets hurt, you went from having a potential great offensive line to a huge problem. But the guy I love the most in the potential there is Max Mitchell. Like Max Mitchell, man, what he did in college was kind of underappreciated. Like, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but I remember I think he had like a 90-something PFF pass blocking grade last year. He was like the Sun Belt Player of the Year. Like, he was considered one of the best offensive linemen in last year's draft, and we got him like as late as we did. So he's a guy like, that Joe Douglas points out and Saleh points out. He's got to put on strength. He's got to work on, getting stronger and more physical. But otherwise, I think he's a guy with a lot of potential. Like, out of all those guys, he really kind of, unfortunately, is the one with the most potential. Because you said, you got Chuma Doga, you know what he is. Dan Feeney, you know what he is.
I would rather have Max Mitchell in there than anyone else we have. Like, if they're going to not move people over, if they're not going to slide AVT over, it's like Max Mitchell, the one thing about him that I like, I wanted him to have a year or two to develop, ideally. But the one thing I like about him, he's very technically sound. That's the strongest part of his game, is he's really a smart player and he's very technically sound. So that's always a good thing. But yeah, I would love for him to have a year in the weight room to bulk up and learn how to play with the big boys. But at least he technically will be in the right position, and he's a smart player.
Yeah, third-team All-American. Nothing, can't complain about that in the entire country. That is, and he allowed 94.8 grade while playing right tackle. Highest graded tackle in all of college football in 2021, allowed 13 pressures on 430 pass blocking snaps. It's impressive, but this is a whole new ball game. So my ideal scenario is this year he's the third tackle and he doesn't have to see the field. That is what I'm honestly hoping for.
And the nice thing about Mitchell, he seems like a guy that could, potentially play both sides. Like, he's a guy that could kick inside potentially. So he's an interesting guy to keep an eye on. Could be like a versatile piece on that offensive line. But yeah, man, I remember looking at those numbers and I was like, I couldn't believe he went as late as he did. Like, he seemed like a guy that I thought would maybe go third round, like at latest, like maybe like top of the fourth. Like, so I was really surprised there, like really surprised. But, we come back to Dwayne Brown and, you talk about this offensive line and fixing it, right? Like, we talk about any of these guys, like Mekhi Becton not being ready. There's a major drop off. Like Connor McDermott, even when healthy, is not that great. Like, unless he's going out for a pass or something. Chuma Doga, he's had his opportunities and it hasn't been good. He's failed a lot. They're saying he looks good, but if we go by what we've seen in the past from him, it's not that good. So I feel like they got to bring in Dwayne Brown. I mean, you mentioned, he's going to be very expensive. He's probably going to be about $7 million, but there's a reason you have a 5-time Pro Bowler, guy 2012 first team All Pro. Like we mentioned before, the dude's like 100. I think he's 37. He's played in like a career 203 games, and he started all of them. Like, he's been, for a huge chunk of his career, like one of the best left tackles in the league. So I get, that's why Jet fans are like salivating, like, we got to bring this guy in, especially even if, we're not sure, especially with not being sure about Mekhi Becton, but even when we were, quality swing tackle, quality backup option. So I feel like it needs to get done. I mean, for $7 million, I'd pay him. I don't know what you guys think, but I feel like that, that obviously is the immediate fix.
Another thing, not only could Dwayne Brown's price be going up, who else's price could be going up? George Fant. All of a sudden, he's needed that much more here. I can't factor that out. Here's what I would say. I would definitely keep Brown. You know what I would even do? If they need the money so bad, I would cut Sheldon Rankins, say $5.5 million, because we have the depth at defensive line right now. We're fine. We could absorb the loss of Sheldon Rankins. Keep, say, a Jonathan Marshall or somebody like that on the team who otherwise may not make it. So to me, you do that and you sign Brown for maybe a 5.5 guarantee, but give him some incentives, because we know that Riley Reif got a very heavy incentive-laden contract, about $3 million base, but up to $12 million possibly in incentives. Go incentive base, give him about a $4 to $5 million guarantee, but give him some incentive possibilities. And I think that's a much better way, a much more balanced way to build this roster.
Yeah, and you see it here. It's like, all Jet fans are in unison, like all agreeing with what we're saying. Like Iowa Jet fans, they'll shoot through with Doga and McDermott. Jets mess. Shoot me now if Chuma stays on the team. It's just the consensus. Like, I mean, we hear it. Like, Robert Saleh's like, Chuma looks so good, but we're like, come on, bro. Like, we watched him play the last few years. Like,
so does you know who else? You know who else looked good in the scrimmages? Jeff Smith. Okay. That's all. That's all.
You know who I love the best example? You remember Chad Henson, the shorts king? Like that dude, like every year in shorts, we're like, this guy's gonna be great. Like he looks amazing.
Chad Henson's.
I'm tired of these Adam Gase type, like lousy, when bottom of the barrel, bad year Jets type players, right? A Doga or Shep. Like he loves Shep. Shep's so good. No, we got to get rid of these guys, and we got to get quality guys in there. And so, like that's why it's such a nightmare. And I know what Jets mess. I know where he's coming from, because like it feels like that's just the 2017, 2018 Jets. If we have someone like a Doga in there.
And for me, the other one I would throw in that mix with those other guys you talked about is David Clowney. It felt he was around for 5-6 years, the wide receiver, and we just could not get rid of him no matter how hard we tried. But he'd always have a good preseason. He'd always do just enough to hang around. I did check. Chad Hansen is currently a free agent, but I'm sure he'll catch on with the XFL or something like that relatively soon.
Probably.
God bless him.
So shout out to all you guys. As we always say, bring the comments, in the chat, anything you want to mention, any questions you got for me or Jeremy or Adam or an idea you have. Like shout out to Jets Mess Med, says he would kill for the DeBrick days of never missing a game. That's kind of the thing. Like you look at with Dwayne Brown, man, like I think that's underappreciated in itself, that the dude is like 37 years old and he hasn't missed a game in 2 years. Crazy. Like that, like on its own is pretty legit.
No, it most definitely is. Of course, he comes here and it's like, okay, how long till he gets hurt? We got spoiled with the Ferguson. Exactly. Unfortunately, I just have like a couch and a glass table in front of me. I don't have any.
God. I got you.
All right. Thank you very much. Knock on the wood for all of us. There you go. But, even the last couple of years, we were complaining about Brick. I felt a lot of Jets fans. It's like, okay, thanks, Brick. Time for you to go. And then he left. And then we've had the days of Kelvin Beachum pretty much ever since. Ryan Clady. I know he played right side. Yeah. I mean, these are the types of tackles that we've had blocking our young, highly drafted quarterbacks. And, we tried to address it. I think we knew when it was Becton, it was a boomer bust pick. That's what it really was going to be. And we see the capability. We know he is a very capable offensive tackle. I'll never take that away from him. But if you're not on the field, you're only hurting the team. And I do want to say one other thing. I've seen some people online, not here, because, we got smart fans in this chat, right? I have seen some people say, get rid of him now. Why in God's name would you do that? Why?
You can't.
You have low value, rookie contract. Number two, who's the great replacement you're going to get for him? I know Dwayne Brown's great. Yeah, he's 37 years old. It's a 1-year deal. You're right back to where you started originally. It just makes no sense. And what's anybody trading for him anyway? And you're certainly not about to release him. Let's not get started on that cap hit. It would just be foolish on so many levels. So I get the frustration, but like Green Bean says, like Frankie says, we gotta gripe intelligently. And it's just so true. So yeah, I'm frustrated as much as we all are. But let's not get too crazy about what needs to be done to fix this team. Like, what's next? Nate Solder? He's a free agent. We could always bring in Nate Solder.
Please. You got to learn from me. Just across not even that across, like same stadium. The Giants learned from that mistake. You got to
exactly. Learn. I mean, hey, they took Kareem McKenzie from us. Good idea. We take Nate Solder from them. Bad idea.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, shout out to all you got. Jets Mess says, looking back now, do you take an O lineman at 10? That would mean not having Garrett Wilson. I mean, and you guys know, like, he wasn't even, my top wide receiver, but I love, his catch ability, his catch radius. Like, what this guy can do on the field when the ball is near him is pretty much as good as anybody. So I would still go with Garrett. I'd be honest. I think even, if I'm more unsure about Becton than I was going into that draft, I think I would still take a wide receiver high. And obviously, I didn't have Garrett, so it probably would have been maybe like Chris Olave, but I still think I would have done like Joe Douglas did. I don't think I would have gone offensive lineman there.
Yeah, you address it. You address it in free agency. I wouldn't change the Garrett Wilson pick. I would just say, JD, make this happen. Either bring in Dwayne Brown, bring him in, or sign Fisher. Just get a guy with experience in here and end the problem. The thing is, we still have some cap flexibility, so it didn't have to be a draft thing. You don't have to fill your offensive line by using all your first round picks every year. There's other ways to resolve the issue. So get him in here. If Becton is hurt on and off or whatever, maybe you sit him again until he's healthy, but you get a competent guy in his place and just go with that. And if Becton works his way back onto the field because he's perfectly healthy, great. But at this point, we have to think of it as a 3-man rotation. We need a third tackle that can play at better than average and be very effective in this league if we want this offense to do and live up to all of our hopes.
Yeah. As far as I'll just address the question also. As far as offensive tackles goes, we had 3 picked in the top 9. Iguanu, Neal, and Cross were all gone. The next offensive tackle taken after 10 was Trevor Penny. And if you're reading any reports of what's going on in New Orleans,
he was not a guy I wanted. He wasn't on any of my lists. I never mentioned his name once on any of my boards.
Drama queen. That is exactly what we're seeing. He has caused like 4 fights already, 3 to 4 fights already.
Yep.
The guy is a complete bleep disturber. That is exactly what he has been. I mean, after that, then you're going to the Tyler Smiths of the world, and you didn't have to get him at 10. So to me, no, I would still take Garrett Wilson. And we all know Sauce was not going to drop to number 10. I wouldn't change anything about the draft. I still didn't love trading up for Breece Hall, but I'm giving him every chance in the world. But my expectations for him are sky high. As much as he is being hyped, like he's Jonathan Taylor, Curtis Martin, and Le'Veon Bell all rolled into one. My expectation is very simple. Best running back from this draft. I cannot accept anything.
That's exactly what he is. No, that's exactly what he is. I mean, I love Breece Hall. Like he was, I wasn't thinking that they were going to do running back that high, honestly, get the top running back in the draft. But like people have talked about, Breece Hall was a running back that could have gone at the end of the first round. Joe was ready to trade up to get his 4th first round pick in a league, where we don't even see running backs go at all in the first round anymore. Like, I love Breece, man. Like, you look at his numbers, like, over the last 2 years, over 3,000 rushing yards, over 40 touchdowns. Like, he's already showing, like, in camp, the elusiveness. Like, I think some people, the comparison I liked was, like, Jonathan Taylor, which is really, because he's a bigger back like that that's very physical, very dynamic, but also good in the passing game. And could just, come on like that hot. Like I love all those picks, man. Like, Joe points out here, this year's draft was perfect, man. Those first 4 picks, just unbelievable.
Yeah. I think Breece Hall's ceiling to me is franchise changing running back. Like his ceiling for sure. He could change us like Travis Henry changed the Titans, he could be that good. He has the potential to be that good. I know he hasn't taken a snap yet, but when you look at his college career, when you look at him on tape, there's no way you can tell me that the ceiling is not that high. He might be one of those elite premier top 3 NFL running backs for the next 5 years. I don't know if we'll see his best year as rookie year. You rarely do, but you might see a very good rookie year. And then after that, it's just takeoff.
I think what had me excited about him was the idea of Becton and Barrett Tucker blocking that right side, getting out into space and breaking those holes open, because he needs space to really turn it on. He has great vision, but he's not going to run. He's not running linebackers over. That's not his game. And this is something that worries me also about Becton, is how it's going to even affect the running game, because Becton is a better run blocker. Yeah. And that is going to hurt somebody like Breece Hall. It's going to hurt somebody like a Michael Carter, who's very slippery, who's elusive in that way and gets those few extra yards. You could have a great running back, but you got to give him a little bit of a head start. You can't put the wall at the starting line and boom, he runs right into it. Just give him a chance to work around the wall. And without Becton, this run game, this offense, which is run first, it gives me some cause to worry. Maybe we need to put Ty Conklin there, right next to the tackle, and use him more in a blocking role. I know Zach loves him as a target, but I think it might be a situation where you use that tight end. You might use a lot of 2 tight end sets and let one of them block, whether it's Azoma, whether it's Conklin. I think if this is the case that Becton's going to be hurt, I want to see a lot more 12 formations than I do 11 formations.
Well, I definitely think you're right, man. I think, this offense specifically is designed and built for the blocking tight end that can line up in line and kick out short for a quick screen or quick pass or anything really. That it's built for that. And that was kind of why, like, there were guys like, I really like Mike Gesicki. People were saying he didn't fit this kind of a scheme. See, I think that's why they brought in guys like Uzumah, guys they brought in like Conklin, because they're quality receivers. Especially Conklin, man. I think he's massively slept on. But both of those guys are quality blockers. Even Jeremy Ruckert, the guy they drafted, guy that at Ohio State primarily blocked, was a quality blocker that showed receiving talent. See, I definitely think our tight ends are going to be blockers.
And you know what's funny with Ruckert blocking? He never blocked until he came to Ohio State. They taught him how to block there.
That's true, yeah.
So it's interesting. I guess he's a pretty quick study. I think some of it needs to be refined a little bit. But yes, he is capable of blocking, but he's very raw. It's almost like George Fant as a football player is Jeremy Ruckert as a blocker. Very raw and hopefully getting better and better.
Without a doubt, man. Without a doubt. And so shout out to all you guys. Jeremy, Mike Koss out there saying Breece Hall was his favorite pick. However, running backs determined, like we've all been saying, upon the offensive line. And you're 100% Mike, right, Mike, and everything is. I mean, the passing game, like we've talked about before, if Zach Wilson doesn't have time to throw the ball, if receivers don't have time to create separation, if there's no holes for the running back, nothing works. Like, I've talked about it before, football's won and lost in the trenches. Jeremy, please, if you could.
Well, don't forget, you don't need a perfect offensive line because not every great running back in the NFL had 5 guys that were great. Right. So if the other 4 play really great and we're struggling a little at the tackle position, obviously we don't want a Doger in there. But if you bring in a Dwayne Brown, or if you bring, if you get average play at right tackle and the rest of our line is really solid, he could still be okay. Like, he could still be fine. Obviously, you want the best possible offensive line. I mean, Michael Carter was looking really good last year, and we had a lot of holes in our offensive line last year. But when they played just average, he looked great. That's what a great elite player does, right? They'll shine. Barry Sanders had a Hall of Fame career behind a poor offensive line. Now, obviously, that's not what we want. We want to bring out the best in him and have him be unstoppable. And to do that, it would be great if Becton could be healthy, or we sign a guy like Dwayne Brown and just, keep that line at a very high level. But I don't want to think, sit here and say that one guy or one spot on the offensive line goes down and then our whole offensive line is ineffective and nobody's going to be able to play, because that's not really true. I mean, teams lose one of their offensive linemen all the time. People get injured and everything, and those teams still manage to find a way and they still could perform.
Which is what you want. I mean, that's ideal, right? Like, you want a quality system, which I think that's what we have. I mean, we have a quality system in place where players, and that's kind of Robert Saleh kind of addressed that today. When they asked him about bringing in Brown, he kind of backed it up with saying, I like our guys. Like, I like the backups we have. I mean, we laugh at it like, we know. But
what else
again,
is
praise the Doga, praise the McDermott. Again, we know what they are. And like you said, Jeremy, one guy may not tank the line, but it's interesting. I come back to, if that, like Adam said, if that right side struggles, you go back to like 2020 when they drafted Mekhi Becton. When the season started, we were running great to the right, to the left side of the line. But then teams started to realize that they're heavily running to the left. So they would load that side up and it started to fall apart. So Adam, you are right. If that right side lags, you can't, just rely on the left side. Like, teams, Sal talks about all the time, they're going to exploit the mismatch every single time.
At the same time, you had a much more limited offense back then. You had Dal Loggins as the offensive coordinator as opposed to Mike LaBooth. And do we even need to get into the wide receivers and tight end comparisons? And we don't know what Zach's going to be, but I'm willing to bet he's going to, as long as he doesn't get killed, he's going to have a better career than Sam Darnold. So, while I understand that offense was so limited, it's like running to the left was all they could do effectively. So, I think that's just one thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, no, that's kind of true. Yeah, but yeah, so it'd be interesting to see what they do. I mean, they're still in talks. That's what we hear, right? They're still in talks with Dwayne Brown. That there's a good chance that he's going to be brought in. That seems to be.
Wouldn't it be great if the news broke? If only the news could break in the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. We'll throw it up. The three of us will freak out. We'll be like, "Oh my god!"
We really need to see that news. That would be great news. I just want to get this guy signed.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Nick, because if you remember, it was Nick, Jeremy, and I. We were on the air together when the CJ signing news broke, and we went ballistic. We were so thrilled over that.
Yeah,
news.
it was great.
So
And he's just
I
an
would like
amazing
lightning
locker
strike
room guy.
twice. He's like the cool.
CJ,
If he doesn't get a job in media, who in the world can?
no,
He is
you're
don't you want to
100%
go and have
right,
a
Nick.
beer with him? Oh
I
my
want to
God.
like invite. I want to get him, as like a host on the show sometimes. Like he's incredible, man. Like his personality is dynamic. He says the right things. He's got such a great like he's got that charisma, like that. Again, back in 2020, I liked about Baker Mayfield. Like people gravitate to him. Like he's got that persona that people like want to play with you and be on a team with you.
He could like host the ESPYs if he wanted to. He's got that much personality. It's well. Then again, they get the Steph Currys to do that. So he may. I don't know if they'll have a tight end do that unless it's like Gronkowski. But man, he's just so engaging. And you know what? I would love to be there in those tight end meetings. Can you imagine Ron Middleton coaching CJ with that personality? Tie the Viking Conklin. You get Jeremy Ruckert in there with his dad. Oh my gosh, I wanted to see that. One thing they didn't show on Flight. If I could have seen one thing, when the rookies all arrived at camp and Ron Middleton met Jeremy Ruckert and his dad for the first time, that would have been a sight to behold. Yeah. I would have loved to have seen that. I'd pay
just
extra
to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah, I'll get a Patreon subscription going to watch that. Oh my God, give me some tight end meetings because that's got to be unbelievable.
Oh man, that's amazing. So one of the other things, excuse me. One of the other things I wanted to bring to you guys as well, as you guys know, the first unofficial depth chart came out this morning. And it's important to, point out that it's unofficial, right? Like so many people see it and they freak out like, oh my God, what about this? What does this mean? It's unofficial, right? It's not set in stone. Obviously, it's going to change. But there's interesting things to note from that. So I had a couple of notes I'd love to, bring up to you guys and hear what you guys think on it. So like one of the first things I noticed was, obviously you got Elijah Moore listed at wide receiver 1, which I love that. Corey Davis at wide receiver 2. What's interesting, if you look at Garrett Wilson behind Elijah and Mims behind Davis, the way I look at it is, again, Garrett Wilson, obviously the rookie, 1,000 times more potential, and Mims has had his opportunities. But from an opportunity standpoint, it kind of seems like Mims is getting the same opportunity that Garrett Wilson's going to possibly get to show a little bit. I mean, maybe not as much, but they have him there. Like some people are like, oh, maybe he'll be behind Jeff Smith. Maybe he'll be here. He's listed just behind Corey, as Wilson's listed just behind Elijah Moore. So, again, Garrett Wilson's obviously the guy. We're probably going to see more of him as time goes on. But it seems like Mims is, and I could be wrong, you guys can tell me I'm crazy, but it seems like Mims is in the position where if he's, put the transformation in, like he said, he looks better, and makes great catches, he's in a place where he could maybe get more opportunities if he looks good.
Okay, so I took some notes on the on this depth chart as well. I was actually going to make a video about it until the Becton news broke, and then everything went sideways. But it's interesting.
Throw it out.
I may do an article on it. We'll see what winds up happening. I'll do something. But so on the depth chart, they have 3 wide receiver spots. I want to make sure that we say that. So the first round is Davis, Berrios, and Moore. The second round, on the second level, it's Mims, Jeff Smith, and Garrett Wilson. So they kind of have Jeff Smith sort of like in the slot. On the third, it's Rashard Davis, Tariq Black, he's still around, and Calvin Jackson. So to me, it's like if Denzel Mims isn't ranked higher than those guys that I mentioned, something is seriously wrong. So I'm not too worried about. I wasn't too focused on the wide receivers. There were some other things that I did find interesting. But yeah, Mims is a 2. It is pretty encouraging, although I wonder what it would have looked like if they only had 2 wide receiver spots on the depth chart as opposed to 3. I guess that's where I'd be curious where he is in comparison to Jeff Smith, but they're both on that second level.
It would be absolutely ridiculous in my mind for Jeff Smith to be above him. I'm sorry, but I know Jeff Smith is good in camp every year, but all I see is a guy who drops passes. He has no upside anymore. It's been too long. Whereas Mims had one awful year in his life, right? He's great in high school, great in college, decent rookie year considering no camp. I mean, he had one horrible year where he got sick, COVID. I know that's not a complete excuse for the whole year, but the point is he still has some upside. Jeff Smith doesn't, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I guess kind of I could just like piggyback on that. Just rewording it a little bit. I guess kind of you look at it like last year, the issue was obviously, the illness, the sickness. He had such like a hill to build himself back up from, and then he was buried on the depth chart. What it seems like is that he's not, like you were kind of saying, Adam, like he's in that second tier group. So yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, we expect Wilson to be the guy. We expect Moore to be the guy. Excited about Corey Davis, but Denzel Mims could be something surprising. I mean, potentially, and it looks like he's going to get that opportunity. So he's at least going to get the opportunity to show if he can be the guy or not.
We can only hope. My expectations are not necessarily high for him because I don't think he's going to get a whole lot of snaps. When you have this running game, you have these tight ends, you have these wide receivers. There's only so much opportunity for Denzel Mims. First of all, will he be activated for most games? He was inactive a couple times last season. So I think I'll be interested to see, since we supposedly do have depth at a lot of positions, who are going to be those regular inactive players that Robert Saleh appoints. That's one of the things I want to see week one is Mims even active for the game? So
he better be.
Well, it's gonna be like the LaMichael Pirine situation, just like every week, like wait, he's healthy, and then wait, he's inactive.
He was in the witness protection program.
I think he was, like, he had to be, because like he wasn't there. You never saw him. You're like, he's not on the injury report, and then you don't see him on game day at all. So
it's like, oh, we still get more Ty Johnson and Frank Gore up the middle for 1 yard. Beautiful, but you got your 20,000, Frank. Congratulations.
So the other one I was thinking, and this one I could be possibly just looking into, you look at the tight end situation, and I think CJ Uzomah and Tyler Conklin are totally going to be just a 1-2 punch. Like they're both going to be the starters. They're both going to be awesome. They're both going to be Wilson's weapons and security blankets. But I felt like Conklin would be listed as the tight end one, because like you look at what he did last year. And again, that was his first year starting, because like he never really had a chance to start before last year. Like I like CJ, but he's been around the league. He's a good guy. He's a guy that could probably give you 500, maybe 600 yards a season, give you a quality year. But Conklin, man, it was his first year starting last year, had 61 receptions, so toward the top of the league. Like, I really liked his potential, man. I thought like he was going to be the tight end one. So I don't know if it's maybe just, the two of them are going to be it, but I don't know what you guys think, but I was a little surprised. I thought he would be listed over CJ.
So what I would say is this. I had some things that I found interesting at tight end, but that was not one of them. I didn't actually have much of an issue with CJ versus Conklin, although there are some places on the depth chart where they will put two guys in one spot: Sauce Gardner and Bryce Hall. And also Eddie Pinheiro and Greg Zuerlein. They're both listed as like co-1s. Now, if they had done that with Conklin and Uzomah, that would have made a lot of sense to me. It doesn't bother me, but one thing I've noticed with like young players, really young players, especially rookies, you got to work your way up the depth chart. Because if we go through the tight end list, here's what it is: Uzomah 1, Conklin 2, Trevon Wesco 3. Jeremy, it gets better. Tied for fourth. All under fourth: Kenny Yeboah, Lawrence Cager. What name have I not mentioned yet?
Jeremy Rucker.
Thank you very much. So he's got to work his way up past Lawrence Cager, past Kenny Yeboah, and for whatever reason, past Trevon Wesco.
But I think that's understandable. I mean, obviously, I don't think that's going to stay the case, but It's the concept in a Robert Saleh team that, nothing is given, everything is earned. So, like, if he was listed over them, it'd be kind of, saying that those guys aren't looking good, or, So, obviously, I think Jeremy Ruckert is eventually going to become that tight end 3 and possibly become the tight end 1 or tight end 2, over time. But they got to work their way up. And it's kind of the same thing, we could pivot and look at the running back position. Like, same thing. Like, I figured, okay, maybe they'll list Michael Carter over Breece Hall, but I was shocked Tevin Coleman was listed over him. I mean, same thing. Like, I think, again, it's just, it's an unofficial depth chart. Can't look too into it. Again, Tevin Coleman is a veteran. He was good last year, but Breece Hall's eventually going to take it and be the guy. But it is interesting that they have him listed at 3.
It most definitely is. And behind, on the fourth level there, it's Ty Johnson, LaMichael Pirine, Zonovan Knight. I am so hopeful for Zonovan Knight to make this team. I don't think he'll make the 53. I don't know if I can ask for that unless he just blows everybody away and maybe Coleman's banged up. I think it would take Coleman missing a couple of games for that to happen. But I really hope Bam Knight sticks around minimum practice squad. When I saw he finished practice the other day with like a 70-yard run, I'm like, that's what I'm talking about right there. That's what I want to hear. I'm excited about Bam Knight. The one thing though with Bam, and I mentioned this with Jeremy on our show, they haven't used him yet as a returner because that was one of his biggest assets at NC State.
Yeah.
It's Braxton Berrios, Rashard Davis, which makes sense. His speed is lights out. But Garrett Wilson is the third returner. I find that absolutely fascinating that they would put Wilson in that spot.
That is weird.
If he's
interesting,
return, that's,
and again, it's unofficial, but if you look at the unofficial one, they now have Zonovan Knight listed as the third quote unquote kick returner.
They do
behind Berrios and Coleman.
Yeah.
So maybe he'll get, you got to hope, maybe he'll get some looks, as camp goes on, as preseason goes on, and he's just got to shine. But I'm with you, man. I like him at that spot, and I've talked about that myself, just for the simple fact that, Ty Johnson, not bad, but he's been around. LaMichael Pirine, not bad, but they've been around. These are guys that have had their opportunity. Zonovan Knight's a rookie. Like, he's a rookie that I really liked at NC State. I just like, as a fourth running back, you're not seeing the field. It's mainly going to be Carter, Coleman, and Hall. I say keep the rookie over, two other guys that we know what they are already.
Maybe this roster, can we keep 4 running backs? That's a challenge.
Well, that's
especially if you want a 4th tight end, if you want a 10th defensive lineman. Now with the Becton injury, do we need a 9th offensive lineman? We got to factor that in. I think this is going to be a 3 running back team, especially if you keep Nick Bawden at fullback, which I really want to keep Bawden. I really like him.
It has to pull from somewhere. Like, if you were to go fullback and keep 4 running backs, then you only got to keep 3 safeties. Like something has got to give, right? I mean, or maybe you have to cut Hardy. I mean, like, you just can't do it. You can't. I mean, there's just not enough spots. It's like, it's a good problem to have, obviously.
I was thinking 5 linebackers. I was thinking 5 linebackers up until we signed Quan Alexander. I was thinking about taking a spot away from linebacker because I figured a lot of times we would play a 4-2-5 defense. But now with Quan, I feel like we might need that 5th linebacker. So we might need that linebacker. Could we only go 2 quarterbacks? Is it possible we trade Mike White or let him go because Flacco's look really good? I would not be surprised to see White go and to see them take the risk and go with 2 quarterbacks. There's so many interesting decisions for them to make. It's going to be interesting.
I'm really glad you actually brought that one up, Adam, because that actually was be the next one I was going to mention, because I like Mike White. Like, I've been a big fan. I always felt like he's exactly what you want in a QB2. Like, a guy that can come in, understands the system, has chemistry with the team, and, win one, lose one. If a backup comes in and they're winning some and losing some, that's pretty much, what you would expect from a QB2. Someone that understands the system. But, man, Flacco has looked lights out. Like, he's come in and he's playing great. He looks like, even Robert Saleh said, like, he still looks like a starter in this league. Like, he's been amazing. He looks great. Obviously knows the system. Obviously, he's seen everything. So it makes sense for him to be the backup. So, yeah, the question then, that's what I was going to pitch to you guys is, do they potentially shop Mike White? And the interesting thing would be, if you are going to do that, you pitch it as, well, here's a guy that really only got his first opportunity last year, right? This is a young kid that really only got his first chance to start last year. And we saw what he did. He looked pretty good. In fact, that was one of the best games, I think, by like a Jets first guy playing. I think they said in like 20-something years, or
maybe since Browning Nagel. Maybe since Nagel. Maybe.
It was something like
Brett Favre. It'd probably be Favre. Yeah, because Favre was.
I think it was
Favre
before
really
that. It was like 01. They were like going way back. It's crazy.
That would have been Vinny or Chad, because Chad started playing. He was drafted in 2000, but he started playing in 02, the year we won the division. So I could see it being Favre if that was the best first game for a Jets quarterback. But I know Nagel did really well also, but who knows? Does it matter really?
So that'd be an interesting one. So my question for you guys, and Jeremy, if you want to field it, if you can sell it right, and again, we know Joe Douglas is the wielding, dealing champion. Like, this guy, like, convinces people, like, he takes over their minds and makes them make trades that they don't want to make. So that being the case, like, what could we potentially get for Mike White if you pitch this to a team the right way?
It's hard because you have to think of, like, if it would be easier if a team, it's camp, if a team loses their quarterback, if a quarterback goes down. And now they're really, really thin because they have their backup and then there's no one behind them. So then you could see as high as a fourth. Like, I think you could see a 4th round pick in the situation if it opened up. I don't see that. I was looking at different teams and I'm thinking around the league, and it's hard to find a team that's in that situation because, like Seattle, I mean, they got Drew Lock and Geno Smith right now, so are they going to bring in Mike White and have 3 kind of like, backup kind of guys, and then they draft somebody? So it's kind of like, you look at these quarterback needy teams. Pittsburgh, they got Rudolph now. They got Trubinsky. They got the Kenny Pickett, who they invested at 20. Like, so when you look at the teams that need quarterbacks right now, it's just hard to find a team who's going to trade for Mike White, because he's not the guy you're looking to bring in as your starter. It's more of an injury thing. Somebody goes down, and now we need a quarterback that can keep us functional, and maybe that would get us a quarterback.
I mean, the only thing that I could come close to comparing it to,
sorry,
yeah, the only no, you're fine. The only thing I could even come close to comparing this to is Case Keenum. The Bills traded for Case Keenum this offseason from Cleveland, which I got to be honest, I didn't even remember it happened, but it happened. All the Browns got back was a 7th round pick, and Keenum's actually won a playoff game or two. Like he led the miracle in Minneapolis. So, but then again, you have to factor in the Joe Douglas tax. So that's like a 2-round increase.
That's like 2-round increase, right?
Exactly. I mean, I don't know what Blake Cashman would have been for any other team, but we got a 6 for him. So you got to give him like a 2-round curve. So yeah, for me, realistically, I could see it being one of those conditional trades. The NFL is not a league where you see a player for player trade very frequently. It's just not something that we often see. It was like what Clint Portis, like Santana for Lavernius was. I think that was the trade one time we made with the Redskins.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, he left. Never. Yeah, I think we traded him back. Is what happened. I think we traded him over to Washington and got Coles back. So yeah, for me, I could see it in one of those trades where with playing time, it's like a 7, but could become a 6 or something like that. I'm not expecting a whole heck of a lot. But I would rather get something. If it could be a player, I would be very interested in getting a tackle. But I can't imagine what team would want to part with a decent starting offensive tackle and bring in Mike White. I mean, would Atlanta bring him in because they don't want Marcus Mariota? I don't know how they're going to sell their fan base. Yeah, we signed Mariota, but check this guy out that we got. He throws the ball 5 to 10 yards every pass, and he beat the AFC champions one time. I don't know if they're going to be able to sell that very well. So I just can't imagine who would want White unless somebody goes down with an injury. If there's a quarterback injury in the preseason, then I think we could have a conversation. So I guess that's something I would be watching out for.
Yeah, that makes a lot. I think you're both right with that. That would definitely be something to monitor. But as you mentioned, Adam, before with the potentially keeping 2 quarterbacks or 3 quarterbacks because you want to keep guys in other positions. It begs me to ask you guys what you think of what position do you think the Jets are going to keep the most players for? And I've thought about this, and for me, I think it's edge rusher. I think edge rusher is going to be the position that we're going to have the most people for. And I come at that for 2 reasons. One is because we've been, dying for edge rushers forever. Like we got Carl Lawson. We were so happy about it. He gets hurt. Then we have nobody again. We never drafted edge rushers forever high. Now, finally, we got Carl Lawson healthy. Jacob Martin's looking good. You got Curry. Huff's looking good. You drafted Jermaine Johnson. You got Michael Clemens you drafted. Zuniga's made a couple of sacks. So this is a position I look at, and again, they're listing Franklin Myers as an edge guy. That's a guy that I thought, like Salah pointed out, that I thought he was going to be kicking more into the interior. But if you're going to be counting him as an edge rusher, then if you count him, Lawson, Jacob Martin, Curry, Huff, Jermaine Johnson, and you want to keep Michael Clemens, that's 7. So, this is the position I think the Jets are going to have 6 to 8 potential edge rushers on this roster.
But I think they're using Clemens quite a bit on the interior as a 270-pound interior defensive lineman also. I've heard he's got more reps over there. So when we're talking about the position, we're breaking down individual position, not just defensive line, but we're going a little bit deeper with this. To me, if you're going edge rusher, outside edge rusher, and we're keeping 10 defensive linemen, which is a rather I tried Joe. Fortunately, I missed that one. Uh, and I'm definitely not vegan. No, that is definitely not the case.
No way.
No, not in this case. Not this.
I get pictures of the food Adam eats. He's definitely not vegan.
No, not this case. But here's the thing, Jeremy. I don't post pictures of the food that is like really healthy because nobody really cares about that stuff. Oh, here's the smoothie that I made this morning. Looks like every other.
Oh no, I want to see that juicy cheeseburger that is going to clog at least 2 of my arteries.
Only 2. You can just handle 2. Only 2 clogs at a time.
He only wants a double bypass.
That's funny.
Only a double bypass. At Heart Attack Grill, order a double bypass, I guess, if you're ever in Vegas. But oh my God. But I think if you go with like 6 outside, you need at least 4 defensive linemen. We know there's going to be at least 4 of each because we have 2 units that are going to keep rotating in. I still expect 10 defensive linemen on this roster. But it really all comes down to how you look at JFM. It really does, because we know Lawson, we know JJ, we know Jacob Martin, Bryce Huff. Do you think Vinny Curry's making this roster at this point? Harrison?
I feel like he is because of, and like Sal has pointed this out and the other teammates have pointed it out, leadership alone. Like he's got that veteran presence. Everyone likes playing with him. They're always like looking to him like for mentorship and talking to him about stuff. And we have to remember, he didn't play last year, but the year before he had a good, I think it was 5 sacks or so, maybe like a dozen or so QB hits ish. Like he wasn't bad. Like even at his age, he's still not a bad player. And he brings that veteran component to the edge. I would be surprised if he was cut. Just kind of, for that reason, Saleh, Joe Douglas like to have, a leader and a veteran mentor, especially when you got young guys like, Lawson Lawson's not a young guy anymore, but he never really was that elite guy yet. We're hoping that's going to happen. Someone to coach up Jermaine Johnson, maybe someone to coach up Michael Clemens. So I could be wrong, but I see him sticking.
I don't love the idea of keeping a player for 1 year, but it coming at the expense of, say, Michael Clemens or Bryce Huff, or a guy like that.
I don't think it is. That's why I think they're keeping that many. That's
okay.
Yeah.
Well, then we have to figure out who is realistically getting cut. Because if we're keeping 10, we got to cut somebody. So, we could go through the names on, whether it's, I guess we're thinking interior, like Shepard, Rankins, Marshall, which I'm fine with if you're removing JFM inside and you believe in him playing there, or even Michael Clemens, but JFM's going to get more playing time. So if it's a situation where, I guess I'm okay with it. If you're cutting Rankins, saving the $5.5 million, but you trust JFM inside, then I feel like the defensive line is a little bit more well-rounded because, Solomon Thomas, he's on the ones. He's on the one line with JFM, Q, and Lawson. Solomon Thomas is going to play. We have to remember that. So I'm not even thinking of him as a bubble player at this point. So
wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, isn't it? That's why I was going to do a video. That's why I'm doing a video on this. There's a lot of interesting things on this, of course, subject to change, but somebody's got to go.
No, I agree, man. No, I totally agree.
Everybody was so sure JFM was going to play on the inside, and everybody that's been reporting is saying nope, he's not. He's playing on the outside. So it looks like JFM is just going to be the complement to Lawson just as the starter, right? That's going to be in that line, that rotation.
My biggest. Go ahead. Yeah, I have another point about the depth chart. So
I wanted to stay on that for a sec because that I actually something to talk about because I felt the same way because Robert Saleh literally had said it. Like they asked Robert Saleh a few months ago and he said that he was going to be moving JFM to the interior and that's where he felt that he was a better player. And that's where the whole conversation kind of started from. And if you think about it, it makes sense. Like you're in a 4-3 system now. You have a guy like Carl Lawson that's supposed to be a traditional edge rusher. Well, now you also have that in Vinny Curry, in Jermaine Johnson, in Michael Clemens, in Bryce Huff. Like you have that in so many guys. It made sense for JFM to be on the interior. Like that's what Saleh said was going to happen. So I just don't know if this is like you said, Adam, like maybe like a throw off where like they list him as an edge, but he's playing more on the inside, or I don't know. It's interesting.
You know what? Hey, teams are allowed to make these changes. I mean, remember last year when the Panthers changed like all their numbers up, the day of the game to try to confuse Zach Wilson? Hey, maybe we could change our positions, our numbers to mess up Lamar Jackson. Granted, he's not a rookie, but there is a gamesmanship aspect to some of this, for sure. Oh, Joe, thank you very much for coming. He's got to check out, and also thank you for subscribing to my channel. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, if you guys are out there, if you haven't, all of us, we have our own channels. Obviously, I'm here on mine. So if you haven't subbed, if you could do that, be much appreciated. You got Jeremy at JetsChaos, and you got Adam at New York Sports Wicker Media. Please check that out. Definitely do so. And shout out to all you guys, in the comments. Again, please bring your comments, your questions, anything you're thinking. And Jets, we were actually talking about that a little earlier. Adam kind of talked about, a straight up player trade. He's right. You just don't see those anymore. Like that used to be a thing like back in the day. It's just not a thing anymore, right? Like players you really trade for draft picks. It's kind of
Calvin for DeMario. Do you remember that one? Remember that one? Calvin for DeMario Davis. That was a good one. Of course, he was gone shortly after was DeMario, but hey, it was a great trade at the time.
Yeah, and I love DeMario. Like when we first had him, like when we drafted him, like he was on the team for a few years. I liked him. I thought he was going to develop. Obviously, we let him walk, and we kind of know what happened there. But yeah, and that's another position. The next position, interestingly, pivot to. We talk about edge rusher, how many quality edge rushers there are on this team. But actually, we were talking about the interior of the defensive line. So you said only keeping 4 guys. I'm with you with cutting Rankins. Like he's not a bad player, but he's not worth what he's making. And you have other quality guys there too. Like hell, we hear good things about Tanzel Smart, and he's buried. So I say get rid of Rankins. But what's crazy to me, and maybe someone can help me understand this, what the hell does the coaching staff see in Nathan Shepard? Like, that's what I need to know. Because, I'm always watching this guy, and, since I don't know, a few months into his career, I'm like, this isn't it. Like, he's not the guy, but they always love him, right? Like, every offseason, they're talking about how great he is and how great he looks in practice and how great he looks in the preseason. I'm curious if you guys see it because I don't see it at all.
It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense to me. Like Chef. He talks about Chef left and right, and I'm like, I don't understand this. He's like literally one of the worst defensive linemen in the league. You could look at any kind of rating system. You watch the games. I'm like, why is he in love with this guy? This guy should be long gone. He has no business. He doesn't compare to any of these guys. The only way he keeps his job is if Clemens is a complete disaster on the inside where they're trying him out and experimenting. And if they do cut Rankins to use that money to get a tackle, then Shep might have a chance. But man, I don't know anyone who has anything that great to say about this player.
Outside of the coaching staff. Yeah. I mean, it's the veteran, it's the leadership, the example he sets. From what I hear, they love him in the weight room and all that kind of stuff. So to which I say, great, go to like a bodybuilding competition. Go do that, Shep.
Hire him as a coach. Hire him as a coach then.
And by the way, Michael Clemens will still kick your ass when it comes to bodybuilding. I'm willing to bet. So
I'm glad it's not just me because I just don't get it. Like it's mind-boggling to me. Like even last year, I'm like, this is a guy that's going to be a cap catcher.
Oh geez.
Like I just
guys, I'm sorry, we have to stop.
What?
Okay, Connor Hughes just tweeted, Mekhi Becton's knee injury is more serious than believed. The Jets expect to find out more tonight. The previous optimism is gone.
Feel free to curse.
Stable.
Absolutely.
Stable. Yeah, Robert Sell. Last year it was 4 to 6 weeks, and he was going to be back. It was bullshit then.
So I'm going to
bring it up. Again,
you said he just tweeted this out now?
He tweeted out literally, was 8:05, 2 minutes ago. Oh, that
sucks.
Reported to Micro. Yeah,
we were all hoping so friggin'
this.
I'll be right back.
Oh my God, he's going to break something.
Yeah, don't destroy the house.
All I ever hear about is this medical team, the Jets' new medical team. I feel like we have the worst medical team in the NFL in the last year and a half. I mean, these guys it's horrendous. It's like, this is the second time. It's like, first they said 4 to 6 week injury. He misses the whole year. Then they're saying right away, oh, he's stable. And now we're hearing it's more serious. This so-called medical team does not know how to diagnose. Why do they keep getting it wrong? Why do they keep misdiagnosing what's really wrong? It doesn't seem like a good medical team to me. Oh, There we go. Is that whiskey?
There you go. I don't blame you at that point. I mean,
And a jet shock. Yeah. Yep. And just so we can all see, this team makes me freaking want to drink.
Yeah.
So here's to the signing of Dwayne Brown, which better be done in about 10 minutes.
They really just got to go out and pay this guy. I mean, it's enough is enough.
Oh, without a doubt, man. That's why I'm throwing it off for the people to see.
All they're trying to do, look, all that the staff try to do, we don't know if he was actually diagnosed. Okay, he wasn't actually diagnosed. They probably did like some initial feel this, feel that. Can you do this? Can you do that? That's probably all it really was. But they knew there wasn't going to be anything conclusive until the MRI. So I'm not going to. And again, no medical staff is going to prevent all injuries from taking place. But I feel as though if anything, they should be able to say, okay, here's how you can limit these, or here's how you can rehab this better. So, yeah, I'm not.
I appreciate you bringing it up, Adam. I mean, now I'll be honest. Like, we're live right now. I wanted to flip my computer. Like, trying not to. I wanted to stick my fingers under my laptop and just flip it right up. It's so aggravating because, like we were just talking about before, all this work that was put in, right? Like, he was supposed to be ready at the end of last year. He's been doing nothing but working and rehabbing and getting ready. I was one of the biggest ones. I will say I was one of the people saying that I didn't think he was injury prone, right? I felt like the shoulder thing was something that was the coaching staff's fault, Gase's fault. They were forcing him out, forcing him onto the field. And then we look at, last year, obviously he had the knee injury. It takes a long time to recover. But now, man, if it really is a bad injury to the same knee again, then the title makes sense, right? I mean, now it's
okay. I'll give you a little more info from Mike Garafolo. More concerning than the team originally believed following practice. It's a new injury and unrelated to his previous knee injury. Becton has additional medical appointments tomorrow to get more clarity. So it's the same knee, but it's unrelated. So is it a different? Like, do we actually know what the freaking injury was?
That's almost a good thing. I just want to say that's almost a good thing.
Do we actually know what the injury was last year? No. I heard a dislocated kneecap, but was it ever confirmed what the injury was? So maybe this is a ligament. Maybe it's a PCL or an MCL. I pray it's not an ACL.
Well, no. We got to hope that it's just a sprain of something.
Yeah, like a sprained MCL, something like that.
If it's a torn, that means they're the worst medical staff I've ever heard of because they said he was stable. You're supposed to know how to check for that.
I mean, the ACL would be your stability, serious. Right? The ACL would be your stability ligament. That's what that does. Welcome to Medical Hour here on Spitfire. We didn't know. Now we all got to become like freaking doctors here. The doctors of pain.
No, but I will say, on an unrelated note, obviously for Mekhi Becton, obviously we're upset as fans, but it's devastating for him, right? I mean, this is a guy that we saw, has been trying to come back. Like, he was even making jokes about it, right? Like, he made a shirt. He was calling himself Big Bust. He was making a joke out of it because he was ready. He was putting the work in, working really hard, working with Duke Manyweather, like, all the time, putting in the effort. It sucks. It really, really sucks, especially like you're saying, this is a completely unrelated injury. But, like, it's on the same knee, and he's been wearing a brace. If he got a new injury on that same knee, wearing a brace in practice, I mean, that's really bad, right? Like, that's
this is not rehabbing a shoulder that gets better. Your knees, all you could do with a knee is strengthen the muscles around your knee. You can strengthen your quads, you could do stuff like that, but the knees are not something that you just rehab. You just rehab around it, and that's why some of these things take some time, and that's why knees can be so degenerative. And when you have that much size on you, as Mekhi does, I don't care if he's only 350. That's still a lot of size. It's going to take that much longer, even if it is like a strained MCL, even if it's like. Okay,
but anything.
I didn't want to respond to this.
Anything is better than torn. It's gotta you gotta hope they say sprains or strains, right? Anything is better than torn.
They do. I mean, my whole issue with Salah is why did he have to say? And this goes back to last year. Why did he have to give the timeline? If he hadn't given the timeline, I wouldn't have an issue with it. But he did, and so then it did happen. So it came across like we didn't know what we were doing. That's what bothers me, because I'm tired of us being looked at as a joke. Even if we lose games, that's one thing. But when we look incompetent, like we don't know what we're doing, and there's mixed messages and a lack of communication, that's the problem. I didn't think that was an issue for this team anymore, right? But Saleh has to learn. I can't believe I'm saying this about Robert Saleh. He has to know what not to say. And I feel like he did it again today, and we said we don't think it's serious. It's just you know what I have to say? He's going to have more tests than we'll find out, but we're hopeful for the best. That's all he had to say. On to the next question.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you are right. I mean, with the timetable, I mean, that was the standard timetable for that injury. I said it a lot at the time. I mean, with lower body injuries, with larger players, it always takes longer to come back. Like the timetable is always longer. So you are right, Adam. They shouldn't have gave it. But when you're a bigger guy, especially a lower body injury, because you're putting your weight on that knee, like your body has to be able to be supported on that knee. So, they kept saying that the surgery was 100% successful, that there were not, that's what they kept telling us, right? That the surgery was 100% successful. There were no setbacks whatsoever. Like everything looked good. It was just taking him longer to have confidence on that knee. Man, I mean, if that's the case, right? Like that's from that point, all off season from when he was ready till now was where we were building, the strength and the confidence back in that knee. So again, if they're saying same knee with a brace on it in practice, like not even like in a game, it got hurt. That scares me. Like that scares me. And I never, ever, you guys know, you guys who have been tuning into me, from the beginning, like Jeremy, like you said, I've always been, Mekhi is not injury prone. But if that is the case, yeah, that label's starting to make a little sense, which is a damn shame, because that wasn't the case in college. Like, that's why I kept defending him. I'm like, that wasn't the case in college. It made sense to draft him. That his size was never an issue. He was always healthy. He was always athletic. He was always faster and stronger than everybody else. This is just really unfortunate. But, on a non-football note, just shout out to Mekhi's family, and just that it's absolutely tragic that, after the amount of work that he's put in for this to now happen. Like I imagine him and his family.
I'd like to know what Duke is thinking right now. I'll give you one more tweet that Connor, our buddy Country Club Connor, put out. He knows I said that with love. The initial report doctors gave Robert Saleh as he walked off the field was much more promising, no structural damage. Sources said, sources. It's always the infamous sources. Sources said there was enough optimism that Becton hadn't even suffered a sprain. Then came the MRI. So the MRI has happened. And it was worse than doctors feared, more tests scheduled. So if initially there was enough optimism he didn't have a sprain, then it was worse than it was feared. Does that mean that it could be a sprain, which is probably our best case right now? Or are we worried at this point that it absolutely is going to be a legitimate, terrible ligament and that it's going to cost him his season? I think sprain is our best case here, guys, of some ligament.
Yeah, and even if sprain is best case, think about, last year. That's kind of where we started, right? Like
that's half the season.
That's the thing. That's how all of this snowballed and began, with a sprain and an injury that wasn't supposed to be that long. Again, I've always been a big fan of this kid, and I loved his potential at Louisville, loved what he did as a rookie. But man, if he's got this new injury, if he can't play this season, or even like you said, if he misses a good chunk of the season, even if he plays pretty well when he comes back, I think we're going to be looking to obviously replace him, come next season. Or potentially make a trade now. I mean, I think somebody brought it up earlier. It was earlier in the chat. I apologize who brought it up. But someone pitched, again, you don't see player outright.
Tevin Jenkins.
Yeah. You don't see player. Yeah, you don't see player outright too much, but they suggested, like a couple of guys packaged with Mims. It's possible. I mean, it's definitely possible. Maybe, you could maybe see something like that. I mean, if anyone's going to do it, it's Joe. I mean, Joe is the man. So if anyone's going to pull something off, it's him.
And didn't the Bears, I believe, got N'Keal Harry, and now Harry might have a season-ending injury. He's really banged up from what I hear. The Bears are looking for another wide receiver. Maybe it would make sense. My concern with Jenkins is apparently he's had some issues with his coaches. If the Jets are bringing in the Jets are not bringing in potential disruptors. They are very big on culture, very big on attitude, very big on approach, and very big on work ethic. Now, I don't know Tevin Jenkins. I haven't done a whole lot of research, but I do know that he does not have a lot of fans inside that locker room from the coach's perspective. So why would we think it's going to be better here? Is it a risk we're taking? Maybe. But I got to be honest, I would want the Bears to throw in like a late round draft pick. If you want Mims, who is capable and is by all accounts a good citizen and a guy who could really help Justin Fields, that could be a big target for Justin Fields. If you don't believe me, look at the Bears wide receiver depth chart right now. I've seen there's college teams right now with better wide receiver depth charts than the Chicago Bears. So, and I lived in Chicago for 20 years, so I could talk some crap about them if I want. And Chris Bradigan always loves it when I do. So,
yeah, and that's just one option. I mean,
I'm open to Mims for Bradigan. I'm open to Mims for Tevin. I would consider it. I'm open to it at this point.
There's a lot of offensive linemen around the league. There's a lot of guys, that you could bring up a list, of guys that you think are backups somewhere that maybe could be a starter. Maybe a guy that was a draft pick a year or two ago.
Why don't they just sign Dwayne?
Is there another update?
What?
Was there another update?
Not that I get.
Oh, okay. Before I saw you,
I heard you said it was Dwayne
for a second. I was like, oh no, not again.
No, I'm saying, why don't they just sign Dwayne already? Just sign him.
Okay. I thought you heard somebody say just sign Dwayne. Like, we have. But I guess that wasn't the case.
Oh.
I'm still checking though to see if anything does come up.
Yeah, but like you said, Adam, I mean, the MRI, worse than doctors feared. Like you said, at that point, best case is a sprain. And we're right back to where we started, where this whole can of worms and mess began. And that's best case scenario. So, man, it's a lot to accept. And especially, obviously, I pointed out, obviously Mekhi and his family, but Jet fans were all devastated. Right? Like, I mean, we saw this guy, working his butt off so hard. He came in great shape, right? Like, that was the biggest story. The biggest story was how good he looked and how obviously he wasn't 100% where he needed to be, but he'd lost a lot of weight and he was in really good shape. Man, this is a huge blow. This is an absolute huge blow. And it makes you wonder, maybe, obviously, Dwayne Brown, but maybe, until that happens, maybe we could see what Max Mitchell's got. I mean, I hate to say throw him to the wolves, but
is he practicing right now?
Oh, that's right. Actually, I think.
Was he? Let me ask this question: was he at the green and white scrimmage? Did he participate in that? Right. Anybody in the chat? If you were at the green and white scrimmage, did you?
I wasn't there. I don't. Yeah. So any of you guys there? If you remember Max Smith.
I mean, I know DJ Reed didn't practice.
Jennifer points just throwing out. We were crapping all over
Jennifer.
Better Not Call before. You are 100% right. He is not the answer. We were even saying that he's the kind of guy that they sign. He may not even make the 53.
I'll tell you what. I got an idea. Can Caleb donate his right knee to Becton? And let's go.
I love it. Well, Becton's so big. I think they got to take both of Caleb's knees.
Merge the ligaments.
Into like a super knee.
Super knee. Coming soon to a theater near you.
Oh, man. Awesome. Shout out to Jets Mess. Appreciate it, you, man. He said he was playing one-on-one with Lee Cravat.
He loves to bring up my brother.
That's funny, man. That's funny.
He's the answer to any trivia question. If you ever hear a trivia question in the world and you're not sure the answer, just say Lee Cravat.
I swear to God. So we got. I know. We aren't thinking about it, but the Jets got a preseason game Friday.
Yeah.
4 days away.
Yeah, and that's a really good point.
Who is playing right tackle? Because when they come on the field, I won't be able to watch. I live in Virginia. I won't get the game until 6 a.m. the next morning. But the first thing I want to know is who the hell is lining up at right tackle? And if I know it won't be McDermott for one reason. He's injured. But right now it's looking like it's going to be Chuma Edoga.
I mean, it again comes down to, what Robert Saleh says. We have to take it, I guess, with a grain of salt. But from what he's saying that McDermott is like really kind of like almost back. Like he was making it sound like McDermott is like pretty much there. I don't think he'll be activated by Friday, so it's probably going to be Chuma. I think you're right. It's going to be Chuma over there. And even if he looks okay, I look at Chuma honestly the same way I look at Nathan Shepard. I just do not understand what the coaching staff is seeing in him because everything I see is just not good.
I wish we could bring back like Dakota Dozier. I mean, at least he was like serviceable for like 5 years.
They just need to sign Dwayne Brown.
Oh, what about I'm blanking on the name. Where's Who was that massive dude that was like, remember that BYU offensive guard that we had last year? The rookie that
was it Herman's? Grant Herman's? Or is this a different guy? I
It
know we got
wasn't
Piersbacher,
Herman's.
but he's our backup center.
I think it was Tristan something.
I'm not thinking about Tristan Wirfs, but
No, not.
I think I know the guy. Let me see. BYU.
It was a guy I know we had last year, and he was looking good for a little while. Like he was shining a little bit. He had that. There was that one picture of him in AVT where they just murdered the blocking dummy and like just had it like completely up in the air. Like there was a lot of hype on him for a while. Like ton of hype on him. I'm trying to remember.
James Empey was the center. I remember him. Oh boy, I'm trying to find it.
Tristan Hodge.
Tristan Hodge. Oh,
Tristan Hodge. That's who I'm thinking about. Is he a free agent? Can we bring him in?
It's a good question.
Is he available? Yeah. Because I actually like, watching a little bit of him play, and it says he's a free agent.
What the hell? I googled Tristan Hodge. I got a soccer player from Trinidad and Tobago.
That's funny.
They need to.
I guess it's Hodge. It's Hodge without a D.
It's because he spells it without a D and his first name as an E instead of an A.
Free agent. Yeah, you're right. Free agent. Yeah,
he's a free agent. I liked him a little bit last year. Like I felt like I remember there were pictures of him laying out like like the practice dummy with ABT. A lot of talk of him.
He was with the Jets, the Browns, and the Broncos last year. So the Browns and Broncos gave up on him too.
Knob is asking, shout out to Knob. Is Vlad Dukas available?
Oh, dear.
How old is Vlad Dukas at this point? That's what I want to know. How
Vlad
old
Dukas is it? What year was he drafted? Like that was like 2011?
He's 34 years old.
2010?
Yeah, it was like 10.
Is he the last player from that draft to still be in the league?
He was a rookie the year they did Hard Knocks.
He was drafted what?
2010?
Something like that. Like wild.
It has to be 2010 because he was on Hard Knocks.
Yeah. I liked him, man. He was a guy I felt like that was raw and just needed to be coached up.
Oh, dear God.
It just didn't happen.
This was our 2010 draft. Kyle Wilson, Vlad Dukas, Joe McKnight, God rest his soul,
after the McKnight, after the Becton news, I don't know if I could take old Jets drafts.
I can't either. Who's still around from that draft?
Anything from the Itzik or McCagnon years is going to make me jump through a window.
Just about. Put it this way, I'm looking at the 2010 draft. There's not a whole heck of a lot left that's still actually active in the league. I mean, Joe Hayden, that's about as Trent Williams. Okay, that's about as good as it gets. I don't think Ndamukong Suh has a team right now, does he?
I didn't he like retire, or was that like?
I don't think so.
Not
to my knowledge. Yeah,
that was actually he's a free agent. Yeah. He's still free. I thought I think he was kicking around the idea of retiring. I think is what I.
Yeah, I don't think he. Put it this way, he'll be a hired mercenary. Somebody needs him, he'll go. That's what he'll be. Has Dwayne Brown if Dwayne Brown is still there after he was there Saturday, if he's still there 3 days later, then how is there not a contract? I'm willing to bet Dwayne Brown went home. But he has passed his physical. I know that Brown took a physical and that went fine. It's just a matter of this. It's not complicated. But again, I would cut, for those who maybe just joined recently, I would cut Sheldon Rankins today, say $5.5 million, give this guy a $5.5 million guarantee, and give him incentives. Period.
Yeah. And, to pivot a little bit, because if we obviously keep talking about the Mekhi Becton situation, it's sad. So we can come back to it. We'll pivot back. You mentioned the roster with the unofficial depth chart.
We will. Then I'll take another shot. Sure, no problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So we left off.
I'll be drunk 2K.
Exactly. So we left off with the edge in the interior of the defensive line. I think linebacker is an interesting situation because I don't think many people expected Marcel Harris to be listed over Quan Alexander, especially when, Salah was saying things like he was acclimating so fast. Like he was out there like the day after we brought him in, he made a huge play. Like the defense was hyping him up. I don't know if that's, again, like, unofficial depth chart, if it's just going to be Quan on day one. But Marcel Harris is a little bit of an interesting story. I don't know if you guys, wanted to maybe talk about it a little bit because that's a guy, that, again, a guy that's moved to linebacker. I didn't know how he was going to fit in on this team, but they got him listed right now as one of the 3 starting linebackers.
Marcel Harris, to me, is the most under-the-radar signing that the Jets have had this year. No, there's like 9 people who actually talk about him. I haven't seen a tweet. I haven't seen a Facebook post. I haven't seen a video from a beat writer, a reporter, anything talking about Marcel Harris. But somehow, oh, there he is. He's the number one. He's the number one linebacker spot. Number one linebacker ahead of Quan Alexander. So to me, I feel like Marcel Harris is a complete enigma. I have pretty much I've never studied him or really watched him play much. So to me, he's coming in with a blank slate as far as I'm concerned. The biggest thing I think I really feel at this point, I expect CJ Mosley to be gone unless he has a fantastic season after this year. And when he does, Jamien Sherwood is going to take his spot. I think they are absolutely grooming. I know that's a touchy word nowadays, but they are grooming Jamien Sherwood to be the middle linebacker, the Mike, the signal caller for this defense. I absolutely think that's what's happening.
I love that take, man. And I completely agree with you because, like, what's crazy is, and I think we talked about it when I was on your guys' show with you guys, I loved Hamza. Like, that was my guy. Like, I wanted Hamza when I knew that we were taking safeties to play linebacker. Loved the potential of him. I liked Sherwood. The biggest thing I remember at Sherwood was everyone kept talking about how big a hitter he was. And I remember, I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but I just remember it was like, I just loved it. Like, they asked him about his hitting. And basically his response was, how do you stop 4-1? You hit it. It was something like that. It was like you can run 4-1, but when you hit a wall, that stops. It was something like that. Like, it was a great quote. And man, this dude is a bruiser. And yeah, they said they were going to play him at the mic. I was surprised, but he was good. Like, he was actually pretty good for those few games while playing the mic until he got hurt. So yeah, that's definitely a guy. You got Hamza that they could be, bringing in. But even, Quincy's still a young dude. Marcel is, I mean, what is he? 27, I think now.
Sounds about right.
28. He's not young. I wouldn't say he's old, but yeah, Jamien Sherwood definitely, I think, has a big future with the Jets at linebacker. So does Hamza Nasruddin. Quincy Williams has a lot of potential. He really came on last year. But yeah, everyone thought, the combo was going to be Mosley, Alexander, and Williams. And again, it could change. And I think, Quan Alexander is going to play. But yeah, as of right now, Marcel Harris is listed as a starter.
Yeah, Harris turned 28 this past June. He has had a torn Achilles, so he fits right in with this defense, obviously.
Oh, man, that might be the line of the show. Like, I feel like you end on a high note. Like, that's it, folks. Oh, my God. That was the line.
If we can't, honestly, we're so brokenhearted. We're so frustrated and scared right now. What else can we do? We just have to laugh somehow. So.
Man, that was funny. That was funny. But I mean, it's understandable. Like, why Marcel Harris is a guy who always played safety. And I mean, he's got over the course of 4 years, he's got 6 TFLs,
138 tackles. Yeah. 5 forced fumbles. Okay. One sack. That's
that's what I was. Yeah. I mean, does he even have any, trying to see if he has any interceptions? I think he has 1 out of his whole career.
He has 1 sack and 1 interception. Is that what,
so I guess
for those 2-minute moments, he was as good as you can be as a defender.
Interceptions. What? Last year. He's getting better.
Maybe it's trending in the right direction. But yeah, they seem to be really excited with moving him to linebacker. And I mean, if we remember, that was what we were really excited about with Keanu Neal. Back like a while back, taking that guy that was a safety, like a hard-hitting safety, and moving him to the linebacker position. That's how Saleh talks about him. He calls him a hard-hitting safety that's good in coverage. It's going to be interesting. Again, I did not expect him to be a starter, but it's going to be interesting to see what we get from him.
So, all right. So with Vasquez, let's see, Andy Vasquez. Here's my thing with they had the MRI. But it says more tests are scheduled to determine the full extent. Should an MRI be able to diagnose like an ACL or an MCL? What other tests could be needed at this point?
Maybe it's a second opinion that they want. It might be that. Maybe I'm assuming the news isn't good. Obviously, if the news was good, they would have said that. They would have been like, nothing. They would have immediately been like, it's nothing. Don't worry about it. Not a big deal. So the fact that they're saying that lead, and I could be wrong, but that leads me to believe, that they want a second opinion, and they're not. Yeah, they're not.
I'm about to do another one.
Yeah, they're very unthrilled with what they heard.
Yeah. So what Connor said is 40 seconds ago. The Jets are very much preparing for the worst when it comes to Mekhi Becton news. More tests tonight and tomorrow. Guys, let's just assume the season's over. Just anything you get from him is a bonus. We have to sign Dwayne Brown, trade for somebody. We have to do something, and we have to do it, I'd say, by the end of the week.
And if that's the case, you guys know, Matt, I've said I'm a huge Mekhi Becton fan. If that's the case, his time with the Jets is over. If he's not able to play this year, his time with the Jets is over. It's time
why
for
would
us
they
to
bring
move
him
on.
back? Well, they would let him play his 4th year out. He doesn't cost anything.
Well, when I say like time is over, I mean like obviously he's not the answer. You know what I mean? Like they're going to be looking for like. To be
sign
fair,
George Fan, sign Fan.
Exactly.
You know,
To be fair, Jeremy, you're 100% right. They're not going to cut him. They're not going to cut him in his 4th year. That's his rookie year. Like you're 100% right there.
Right.
But they're not going to give him a 5th year deal. They're not looking at him to be the guy.
Right. We have to start. We have to move forward. Like even considering drafting a tackle with the first pick, with our first draft pick, whenever that is next year. Like we literally have to move forward as if he's not going to be a Jet. Like, we have to start thinking of our new plan for the future. Like if he's out for this season 2 years in a row, we just have to move on in our minds. And if he and then it's a bonus. If he was to come back next year and win the job and be great, fine. But like we have to get it out of our head. We have to do what we did with Denzel Mims last year. We have to accept that anything we get out of him in the future is a bonus, but in our minds, think of how we're going to move forward as a team. Because 2 years in a row, I'm sorry, it's done.
And this really hurts because my one hope, as much as I love Bryce Hall, the one hope for saving, I tried to defend the 2020 draft class as best I could. I was defending Cameron Clark. He didn't get to play. I still think he would have been a very good offensive lineman for this team. I really do. I actually got to watch him play live a time or two when Charlotte played ODU here in Norfolk. But at this point, it's like I can't defend this class anymore. It's Bryce Hall, and we know right now he's a bench player. Not that it's his fault, but it looks like that first class, and it's easy to blame Adam Gase. We could do that if we want to. That's fine if it makes us feel better. But that draft class is turning into a washout right now, unless Mims can somehow do something to save it. I just can't defend this draft class anymore.
But I can't blame a GM, no matter who made the pick, on Becton. Like there's no way to know this. He wasn't injury prone in college. He was sparking. He was flashing as a guy who's going to be a great left tackle in the NFL his rookie year. It was a good pick, and then we just got really unlucky, and it just happens. It has nothing to do with. It's nothing you could. It's nothing you could foresee. It's nothing you could predict.
No, you're 100% right, Jeremy. And it's true. Like I was saying before, Mekhi Becton, he didn't have injury history in college, even though he was a really big guy. He was very athletic, never had any problems, massively nimble, fat, like Salah points out, faster than guys that are 100 pounds lighter than him. And he's an absolute monster. My favorite thing I loved about him was the pancakes. Like I was like, this dude's going to come in the league and just pancake everybody and just put them into the earth. It sucks. I think that's like every Jet fan right now. Either like they're drinking like Adam, or they want to flip their computer. They're just sighing. I feel you, man. Shots. It sucks. It just absolutely sucks. It really, really does. But I think again, some people are going to try to fault Joe Douglas. I think, like you said, Jeremy, we can't. It wasn't a bad pick at the time. It's easy to play Monday morning quarterback and be like, yeah, you should have taken Tristan Wirfs. But at the time,
he's out too for the season. Isn't Wirfs out for the season? Yeah, he's out too.
But at the time,
he's plays for Tampa. I hope he is. With all due respect, you play with Tom Brady. Screw you. I don't care.
No, stop. Come on.
It's very selective. I will say this: the way I got this, I did not have to buy this bottle of Crown Royal. There's actually a story behind this, and it is Jets related. So one of the guys in the Virginia Jets fans club that I'm the president of, he has a really nice place. He has like a tiki bar. He has an outdoor area. That's where he watched the Jets Falcons, the London game. We went there on a Sunday morning, made breakfast, watched the whole game together at the tiki bar. He's got a pool. He's got a hot tub. Inside, he's got a couple pinball machines. He's got like a full bar. We are very much a Fireball drinking group. We love our frozen Fireball. But he said, okay, we got this new punching bag, this brand new punching machine. We're going to have a couple contests for hardest punch and for reflex. meaning once the timer starts, you have to have the fastest punch. So not the hardest, but the fastest. So I happen to win the fastest reflex punch, like 0.001 seconds somehow. And the prize for that was this bottle of Crown Royal. So it was being part of a Jets fan club that led me to have this bottle of Crown Royal. If that doesn't sum it up right there, I don't know what the hell does.
I like it.
It's pretty good.
But yeah, man, you talk about the 2020 draft class, and it's interesting. Like Jeremy, you pointed out, with Mims, last year was an outlier to him based on what he did in college, having great years at Baylor to the point where he was considered a potential first-round pick and a great rookie season. If you do the same thing with Joe Douglas, then honestly, his 2020 draft is an outlier. Because if you look at 2021 and last year, or this past draft, he absolutely killed it. Right? These last two drafts, I've been saying it for a while. I truly believe that these could be two of the best consecutive back-to-back drafts by any GM in NFL history. Like, I think it could be up there. Like, it has to prove itself. But if you look at the talent level of what he's gotten on paper, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. So maybe it was part of, we talked about it, that it wasn't until after Adam Gase left that Joe Douglas was actually truly given the keys, right? It was after Gase was fired that they kind of announced that Joe Douglas was going to be given the keys to the car, and it was, going to be his, that the Johnsons weren't going to micromanage and stuff. So it makes you wonder, in 2020, was it not all Joe, right? It was like that part Adam Gase, part the Johnsons, and part Joe.
We'll never really know the answers to all of it. I like to think Adam Gase screwed up Mike McCagne's drafts. I think Gase just has a way of screwing everything up everywhere he goes. But oh boy, yeah. After this, I don't know. I feel like my brain is going in a few different directions and not just from the Crown. It just, I don't know. It's like,
you think about what we could do now. Like, you think about the options.
We can't stick with what we have. That's the bottom line. I can't watch 17 games of Connor McDermott. I can't do it. I can't watch 17 games of Chuma Edoga.
It's not going to work.
You know what? Joe Douglas knows that. Joe Douglas knows what's going on. I guarantee you right now, he's on the phone right now. I just pray at the end of those phone calls, he has like a spin move like he had at the end of the draft, at the end of the Jermaine Johnson saga, which we all got to see. So get me a spin move worthy tackle, JD. That's what I want.
He just,
you beautiful, sexy man.
He needs to understand that the game he was playing, because he negotiates, right, with Dwayne Brown, he lost. This happened right when after he had him in the green and white scrimmage. He held out. They probably, he had a price. He had a price he wanted to pay. You lost. Pay him his price. You lost.
I just don't think Joe's used to it.
I mean, but he's got to just know. It's not that he lost because he's a bad negotiator.
No, that's what I mean. Yeah, I think he's like, wait a minute. How did I not win?
I felt because at one point we needed somebody to be a backup, and we had two solid guys, and that was what he was negotiating on. Oh, like he was probably, his whole thing was, I can't pay starter salary because you're not gonna, you might not even play. Like, we don't know what it's gonna be. You lost. That's gone. Now you have to just sign him. You have to go and you have to sign him. Pay him the money that he wanted. Just pay him.
Jeremy, I think that's a really good point. I think that's a really good point, actually, because that definitely, maybe he was looking for starter money, but now he should get that starter money. So that's an interesting way to look at it. Exactly. That I think that makes a lot of sense, that maybe Joe felt like he's asking for too much to be a swing backup. Well, that's not what he is right now. Now he's going to be your tackle. So I have a question for you guys, and I'm curious what you guys would do here. What if you're Joe Douglas and Dwayne Brown tells you, I will only sign if I can play left tackle? What do you do?
You move Nick Fan to the right side.
Nick Fan?
Oh, so you move George.
I let Travis Henry go. I'm not letting this
George
one
Fan.
go.
Why do I always mess up the first name? You move George Fan to the other side. That's what you do.
So you do, because George had, he was great on that left side.
But I don't even know if Dwayne Brown could play the right side.
Put it this way, George Fant does not have, I'm sorry. Fant does not have Greg Van Roten next to him right now. He has Elijah Vera freaking Tucker. So I feel a little more confident about him at right tackle than I would have this time last year.
Makes sense.
You have to just pay him. You have to pay him. You get on the phone right now and you close the deal.
renegotiate a contract, cut Rankins like we talked about. Not that I want to lose Justin Hardy, but I mean, that's only $2 million anyway. Rankins is the player you could cut that's replaceable because, like I said, he's redundant. You have 2 or 3 other players who do the exact same things he does, except Rankins didn't do them as well last year. So to me, it is pretty straightforward on what has to be done here, but do it now because I can't bear to watch. Zach will have one series against Philadelphia probably. I'm scared for that series. I'm scared now. And this isn't me being a Jet fan for 35 years and seeing nothing but heartache. Heartache and teases. This is potentially the best collective organization we've seen this franchise have in 20 years, maybe 30. We cannot let one player's injury ruin it because we have to keep – this kid has to be protected at any way possible. He can escape. He can move. We know he can do that. But if we have freaking the second coming of Wayne Hunter coming out, he's not going to survive.
Brian Winters incarnate.
Brian Winters, we apologize. My God. Now, I'm going Wayne Hunter, Adrian Clark, Colin Baxter. Name the worst offensive lines we've ever had. That's the level I'm talking right now. Colin Baxter, the center who replaced Nick Mangold on Monday Night Football, that one game against the Ravens. The Ravens debuted their black jerseys. Sanchez spent more time on his back than he did on his feet that night. It was, I don't want to use the word, but I'm amazed he got out of there with his clothes on. It was disgusting. And I cannot bear to watch the same thing happen to this kid who has more talent than Sanchez ever dreamed of.
And an important note to mention, you just said it before. In the past, our GMs have always failed to surround our QB with talent. And that doesn't just go for wide receivers and running backs and weapons, but also an offensive line, a line that keeps you upright and keeps you standing there. So, yeah, like we mentioned, in the beginning of the show, before we talked about, before we knew what had happened, there's just a massive drop-off after these 5 starters. And I think everybody was echoing the same thing. Like everyone, like even like me, that was saying we have the potential to have a great offensive line. That sentence always started with, if everyone can stay healthy, if all 5 of those guys stay on the field, because without that, it just falls off. So it seems like, you look at Mike here, it seems like a lot of people are into that. I don't know if maybe someone's presenting it on Twitter, so maybe that's why it's taken off. But it seems like this Mims for Jenkins thing is kind of a thing now because a lot of people have mentioned
that. I'm looking up some stuff on Tevin Jenkins right
That's
now.
what it's actually funny. I was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Because from what I remember about him, and again, just off the top of my head, I don't remember him being a bad offensive lineman, but I don't particularly remember him being a very good one either.
I'm going through this article right now from ESPN, from Courtney Cronin from ESPN. This is from 2 days ago. Tevin Jenkins returned to camp Saturday after missing 7 straight practices with an undisclosed injury. That's great. He went back surgery last off season, and he should be 100%. He says it's feeling really good. I'm not having any discomfort. So he's been in the training room for the last 9 days.
So back surgery, the one thing that's like the most crippling thing for a potential offensive lineman.
Day to day. So, yeah, oh my gosh. So he underwent back surgery before his rookie season. He played 157 snaps at left tackle last year, which is 9 a game on average. That's all that is. So now he's been moved to right tackle. So then he got moved to right tackle. And of course, he's giving you the typical, the line, I'm willing to play wherever they want me. Yeah, that's what he's saying, but that's not what he's really thinking. He's being coached well.
And I mean, he was drafted high for a reason. He was the 39th overall pick. He was good at Oklahoma State.
I'm not trading it. Based off what I'm seeing here, I'm not trading an asset for this guy if he has back problems. Give me a free agent. Get me Eric Fisher. Get me Dwayne Brown.
Sign him already.
I would almost even take Nate Solder. The only reason is he would only cost money, and put him on the right side where he doesn't have to be perfect. I would take my chances there. But I'm not trading an asset in Denzel Mims, a potential asset who's looked a lot better this offseason, for an offensive lineman who's like 23 years old, who's dealing with back issues and is still ramping his way up to being the full health.
Who's also immature. And even though they called him the best player, offensive lineman on the team, isn't starting because of his immaturity. No, it's like just sign Dwayne Brown.
I don't want an
throw him
offensive lineman
in.
who's ramping up. I don't want to hear about ramping up. Stop. I want ready to go kick ass.
Yeah, think
That's
about what we
I
talked
want.
about before. Dwayne Brown, yeah, he's 37 years old, but he hasn't missed a game in the last 2 years, which is literally the problem we're talking about, right? The biggest thing everyone always says, the best ability is availability. Well, clearly Mekhi Becton's availability is a problem. That wasn't an issue for Dwayne. Yeah, he's had a couple of years where he's missed games, but the majority of his career he's played full seasons. And as we talked about before, unlike someone who may be the answer, Dwayne Brown every year, even last year, I think he graded like 75. Year before that was in the mid 80s. Every year, he's always a good to quality top of the league offensive tackle. So, I mean, maybe it could be something, who knows? Maybe Joe Douglas blows everybody away, trades for Tevin Jenkins, and brings in Dwayne Brown. Maybe that's in the cards.
Yeah.
I mean, Jenkins right now is being tried out at right guard. He's played left tackle, and right guard in the last 12 months.
So I guess why people like him, it's his versatility. I guess that he can.
But Harrison, he's never played guard before in his life. They're trying him there.
Well, I remember when they drafted him, that was the idea. The Bears said they would use him potentially as a guard. And I'm going to say again, I did like him at Oklahoma State. Like I remember last year hearing, like you said, like mixed things, injury problems. If I remember, I could be wrong, but I thought I remember hearing something about his work ethic, if I remember correctly. But I liked him at Oklahoma State. I mean, I liked what he put together. I thought the best thing I liked about his game, and it kind of fits, like you mentioned, what I liked about Cameron Clark, he fits that Joe Douglas, like nasty physical offensive lineman. Like he does fit what Joe Douglas likes.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the offensive line that they have right now. I mean, Braxton Jones, Cody Whitehair, Lucas Patrick, Michael Schofield. They signed Riley Reif, and he immediately became probably their best offensive lineman. So, I mean, what else do I have to say about that?
That's it. That's all you have to say. That's it. That's it. That's like if we go back to saying now Connor McGovern is our best offensive lineman. That's all. If that was the case, that would be all you'd have to say.
Yeah.
But shout out to here, Momo Adamo. Yeah, Momo Adamo points
I think
out.
he meant to say Becton. That came out as back then. Momo, are you doing voice to text?
See, I could have
been there.
I thought he was talking like about the back, like with Tevin Jenkins. Whenever I hear back injury, I'm just, especially for offensive linemen, I get nervous. I get really nervous.
I think back then was supposed to be Becton. I'm positive.
Dwayne Brown?
He corrects it. Becton, yeah.
Dwayne, we know.
I saw the back thing and I was thinking, that scares me with Tevin Jenkins. I'll be honest. That's.
Dwayne Brown is the best option. Fisher is like, he's had a rough years with injuries. Do we need more of that? Because he's, coming back from being banged up or whatever. So to me, it's like you're saying it like crazy, Harrison. The thing that we need to think about right now, we need reliability, like Morgan Moses was. We need a guy who dresses every week and is able to stay healthy. Whether it's luck, whether it's how your body is built, whether it's your mindset, it doesn't matter. This is the guy who manages to play a game week to week and not get hurt. I don't know why or how or what, if he's lucky or whatever it is. We need to get him in camp because that's what we need.
Yeah, so we're going to be getting going soon. But one last question I did want to ask to you guys is kind of on that topic, and it's perfect that you just brought up Morgan Moses. So as you guys remember, Morgan Moses got a pretty decent contract, 3 years, $15 million. We all said, at the time, why would we pay that? I know we're looking at obviously a Monday morning quarterback position, but do you guys feel like we kind of wish we had him right now and gave him 3 years, $15 million and kept him around?
I do.
I don't.
I mean, it's kind of no. Oh, you say no. Okay.
No, I'll tell you why. Good run blocker, good leader. His pass blocking was among the worst of right tackles in the league last season. He's not a pass blocker. Good guy, fine for 1 year. But over a 3-year period, no. I'm sorry. I did not like Morgan. He lost too many one-on-one battles as a pass blocker, and I had a problem with that. So I'm sorry. I didn't want him back. I was happy to let him go. God bless him.
I would take him right now if we don't get Dwayne Brown. He's better.
That's a different argument.
Well, what's
That
funny
is a very different argument. Who's
yeah,
going
and
to
you
be
mentioned
released?
Jeremy. You mentioned Dwayne Brown. Asking for maybe too much, like saying you wanted $7 million, and they're like, that's starter money. Does he turn around now and go, well, now I know you need me because Becton's hurt. Now I want 8, or now I want 9.
I don't know that he would do that if we say, okay, like if JG called him to the agent and said, you got it, like, what you were asking for. If the agent said, no, we want more now, he's obviously not getting it anywhere else. And now he gets to play. So I think he signs. I don't think he plays that game. I think if JG called and said, okay, you heard the news, there's no more, I give up, whatever. He goes, you win. And now he's guaranteed to play. Well, but now he's guaranteed to play. So the thing is he calls him up and he goes, okay, I'm not asking him to be a backup anymore. It looks like we're going to need him to be our starter. So fine, you get your $7 million or whatever it is, whatever he's asking, but you pay it. Right now, you have to pay it. You don't throw away a season and you don't risk Zach Wilson's health and his development. You pay the money. We need to pay it right now because it's not just this season. It's the future too, because we cannot have Zach have another year where he's running for his life.
No, without a doubt, man, without a doubt. So my wonderful guests got to get going, but I really appreciate all you guys tuning in. It's been absolutely awesome talking to you guys. Jeremy, Adam, I absolutely loved having you guys on. Really appreciate you guys being here, talking Jets with us. Thank you for coming on. Love to have you guys on more. Definitely love to have you guys come back.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Let us know when you want us on. We'll be happy to help you out. This was a great time. The 2 hours absolutely flew by. Of course, bad Jets news gives us a whole lot of ammo. Hopefully next time we'll be on and it'll be under happier circumstances.
Completely agree.
Amen.
So if you guys don't know, you can find these guys on YouTube and on Twitter. You can find them. Jeremy is at JetsChaos. Adam is at New York Sports Wicker Media. Please check them out. They got great content delivered to you guys all the time. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for being here and being a part of the Take Flight Spit and Fire podcast. Remember, throughout the week, I'll bring you guys short videos with some content. Check that out on my channel. If you haven't, if you could please subscribe to the channel, that'd be very, very much appreciated. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys have a great, great rest of your week. And, let's just keep listening. I mean, hopefully that Dwayne Brown news is coming any second.
Hopefully.
So, yeah. Cheers, guys.
Keep supporting, guys. Keep supporting.
Yeah,
Take care,
appreciate
everyone.
it. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Take care, guys. Have a good one.